What is going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today with the Green Goblin Classic Trials now officially starting. So as you guys can see here, time recording, we are fully live here to actually be able to access now. What I like to do for the very first run is actually do it without many of these packs and scourges activated, but there is a notable one that we want to add, and that's going to be the war abilities here. So as you guys can see, I'm just going to cycle through the difficulties because you know, typically we want to be aiming for enough points going through this first run to unlock Green Goblin right away, and then we are going to be bringing him in immediately following this unlock. So difficulty 6 I think is a really nice bet because you can see even the expected run score here well exceeding the 550k points to actually immediately unlock a 3-star. We're also going to trigger the war abilities here to give notable characters those respective upgrades, and then we are able to actually go through and utilize that. Looks good here. So 633k expected with the war abilities active. Let's get right to it. Difficulty 6 run right now. So I mean, I think the other notable thing that we gotta mention here is obviously with the war benefits being available, I did create some teams already ready to go, but I actually wanted to see, we know that this nowhere team can get the job done at difficulty 8 when we were working towards Black Cat. Now knowing that they're once again getting these benefits here of actually activating their full-on abilities, I think they're going to completely crush this just because this is the full arsenal of this team as if they were functioning in war. So right from the get-go, let's go ahead here and you can just see my Nova is geared to 18, by the way, so obviously way over attuned for this event, obviously. But I mean, it's great to see that if you have value with nowhere, this is going to be one exceptional way that you can utilize this team here, especially if you want to make the most of characters and teams that you're investing in already. And this could be a very powerful team that we're up against, but because of the synergy of having nowhere being one of the best war team synergies in the game, we're gonna get some value from this, and as well you know, having them being leveraged in the previous events as well. So activating Nova's ultimate, this should be able to crush everything. We're just going to completely rip through this, guys, especially with it being difficulty 6. And like I said, my game plan here is going to be going through and getting the Green Goblin Classic unlocked, building them up, and then I will be making a difficulty 7 guide. Probably a dry run first without the packs activated, so that way you guys can see how it does, you know, especially for those of you bringing in some of these, you know, beginning teams with Sintra 6, tech teams, the Global Blasters. You know, we're going to get an opportunity to get through that as well. Oh, interesting. So not sure what happened here actually with the score. Didn't seem to have actually recorded that. Okay, so after resetting the game, it finally actually fixed that, so that's good. Now we're actually back here with my Rebirth team. And again, guys, I don't have new Avengers built up, so that is why I'm going about this route, which is, you know, going through the status quo of maintaining the team that we've already built up for the raid. So this is the one that's actually built to actually, you know, counter against Rebirth. And for the high difficulties, especially level 8, this is one that actually challenges, and you need a pretty stacked up Rebirth team to even go to difficulty 9. So just something to be mindful of. We shouldn't see any issues here in difficulty 6 or 7. Just because we should have more than enough of these characters built up. I'm going to hit auto here because, like I said, it's not going to matter. The AoE burst damage from Captain Carter combined with some character damage like US Agent should be more than enough to get through it. We're just going to power through this. But it's not enough to say that we can see where definitely some of the pain points are going to be coming from. Obviously, having these Wakandans against us, the Killmongers, 1 million with Nakia, obviously they're going to be doing damage as you get higher and higher, especially with these Red Guardians and being able to have their taunts, right? They're going to get in the way of us trying to take down some of these key damage dealers for sure. I can definitely see that. But again, once our Rebirth team is able to actually get their turns, they're going to make short work of these guys just because they hit hard. And like I said, most folks will have Rebirth already built up pretty sizably, especially, you know, in the setting where, you know, they're currently the bio meta for going through the incursion raids especially. So at this point, down to an enemy or two, I'm just going to conserve my energy by switching to basic here. But yeah, not an issue whatsoever. We're just going to fly through these nodes so that way you guys can see at least the enemies we're up against. as well as what works and what doesn't in terms of team dynamics. But like I said, guys, my game plan is to immediately unlock Green Goblin and then build him up to bring him back into difficulty 7. City Villain. So this is where it first starts getting interesting here. And again, I saved my squad already, but Black Cat, without a doubt, is going to be a key player. I slotted in some Sinister 6 characters that include Doc Ock, Vulture, as well as Mysterio, because I do believe they're going to be prominent components of this team. And as well, having Carnage here just for the first dry run, because of the fact that, you know, he's going to be able to at least get the job done here and be valuable. But you can see from the very beginning here, because of Black Cat, I mean, she's going to be absolutely crushing it for me in these notes, especially with her being gear tier 18. If you guys have leveled her up for Dark Dimension, it's going to be huge. I think Carnage is a good one because of the fact that there likely will be a lot of these enemies falling, and as a result of that, we'll be able to get turn meter rewind, and then as well, Carnage is going to really benefit off of that. Especially for the first run, if you guys don't have Green Goblin Classic yet, I think that's going to be pretty invaluable. Enemies go down, turn meter goes up again, like I said. So this one's interesting because we are up against a massive group of different Spider-Verse characters. And like I said, I really love Mysterio's kit, so I'm really happy I brought him in. And again, we're going to take advantage and feed off of the energy rewind of the turn meter here, especially with Carnage really thriving off that. But yeah, you probably won't have a lot of issues going through these notes. The exception here, obviously, is at the very end here. Be mindful that there is a Spider Weaver and a Black Cat waiting for us at the very end here. So just something you want to be watching out for, maybe saving your Black Cat's abilities, and as well as watching for that Spider Weaver. You know, she's, you know, exceptionally, she's not too crazy to deal with if you can control her and make sure she doesn't use her abilities. And when she does, you just got to make sure that you have charges ready to go here, so that way you can make the most out of it. So super smooth so far, guys. Difficulty 6, like I said, if you have I made a video on this yesterday in terms of the difficulty, but if you have, you know, roughly a 450 550k team, difficulty 6 should be no issues. As you can see, we're flying by, especially with some of these teams like the one I just showed you in Nowhere, getting those war bonus benefits. It's going to be super silky smooth. So we're just ripping through this, like I said, because I want the unlock of Green Goblin. I'm going to be building them up, and then I'll be going right back into difficulty 7. Global Blaster. So this one's the other pain point as well that I can see. But, you know, the nice thing about this is we have a lot of characters that are part of the meta. You know, the Horseman teams, respectively, especially with Unlimited X-Men, a big proponent of them are included. So hopefully I won't see issues here. I think it's really just managing, you know, how these waves are going to be coming at us. We know that there's an Eternals combination that we're going to be dealing with. Minerva can bring back characters. So we just got to be careful, I think, with the Global Blasters. Be mindful of these character synergies, but as well, we know that there's also a couple of these Star-Lord Annihilations for blinding. Corvus Glaive, Cull Obsidian, they're all going to have value with Thanos when he does spawn, so you just want to be very mindful of that. So I think Sunfire is going to be important because he has his burst damage here and can completely, you know, wipe the floor here, bursting everyone down. Ideally, I think that's going to be the goal. Archangel is going to thrive off of that energy turn meter rewind, and we have Phantom X really just shouldering damage for us if need be. So definitely got to take advantage of Archangel's strong offensive output. We got a Silver Surfer that spawns here as well, and then another Annihilation. But again, Thanos does spawn now here overall, and then like I said, we want to avoid this pain point here, because if you get to this point and you don't have those respective Black Order members taken care of, well, then I could definitely see it being a very dangerous node. Now, I thought there was interesting. I thought there was a Icarus that actually goes into this wave, but I guess not. Maybe we cleaned it up early. I didn't see it, to be honest. But then you should be left with Thanos here, and it'll be, you know, silky smooth. So as you can see, guys, difficulty 6, if you have, you know, teams north of 1 million, it's going to be very straightforward to get the unlock. But again, this is just to give you guys context. I understand that my teams are likely going to be higher as you guys are watching this and navigating the waters here. We're back to Tech now, and I did preset a team too. I think Tech is a really good one because there's a lot of great characters. Kang, Doctor Doom, Castro, Big Time, Shuri, Bionic Avengers, the full Pegasus team, they can likely all just power through this. So I don't think we're going to have issues here whatsoever. It's more so definitely there's some targets that we want to be mindful of here, and especially some of these character synergies that we're seeing, right? So right from the get-go, a mix of these uncanny X-Men. We got the defense up from Shuri that I really like. So we are going to be strategic here. We're going to, you know, save Kang's ability abilities when there is going to be a meaningful attempt here. We also have Kestrel, who's also part of the meta, especially being a fellow character required for Big Apocalypse, but as well a Dark Dimension 6 block character. So I mean, there's a lot of value to be had here. Thankfully, tech should not be that difficult here. We have this other mixture that does spawn here. Obviously, with the death pools, I think they can be an issue later on as we go higher. And then we do have the Dad Brothers also spawning here. So I'm gonna save Kang's ultimate because we might need it later on in the tech notes later on that's deeper. But just something to be mindful of with these Dad Brothers, definitely in higher difficulties. You know how they can snowball and get better and better. Thankfully, we also have some really good characters on tech, so I don't think this one's going to be an issue, but just something to be mindful of as you guys are pushing higher. So super straightforward there. And then with that said, now that we finished up the full run through of these different traits, I do believe now it officially resets. So we are back to Rebirth here. So yes, sir, we're going to be bringing them back in again. And like I said, I think this is just going to be a cakewalk because most of the Rebirth team is going to be built up already. We're just going to hit auto. It's not really going to matter. I think with this one, the pain point with this one is that there is a group of infestation team characters here. So because of us activating, obviously, the war benefits, they are going to have their full-fledged abilities as if they're operating in war. But thankfully, like I said, the power differential between how high you built up Rebirth for the incursion rates should honestly be more than enough. After you take down that initial cluster, does spawn actually 3 swarms. So characters you want to be mindful of. Thankfully, like I said, Rebirth does have a lot of good AoE. That's why they were intending for this one to be taken care of with the new Avengers, because they'll obviously thrive here, being in that war buffs that are activated for those respective teams. If you're having issues, I think with these nodes, then you might have to turn off the war bonus. But if you have a built up Rebirth, you should still be able to get the job done, even in difficulty 7, with the majority of some of the packs activated. Now, so we do at this point save up your abilities and boom, just like that. But most folks have these teams already built up. That's the thing, right? So especially if you guys are doing incursion 1.6, you know, I think there's a lot to be said about the value they're going to be bringing. I don't like going forward how this might be an option that folks need to in order to get higher rankings on here. But yeah, just something to be mindful of, guys. We're going back. Oh shoot, I didn't pre-select my team. We have Carnage and Scream actually in place, but that's all right. We have a Gear Tier 18, Black Hat, not a big deal. Ideally, it would have been preferred if I used my same team that I utilized, but this one is going to be a little trickier because we are starting with some Horseman characters that we're up against. So Morgan Le Fay is the obvious one we want to focus at the very beginning here. Thankfully, she does go down. And then Dark Beast as well here, just being a fellow respective Horseman character team member. So Doctor Strange Heartless is obviously the one that we want to be focusing here in the top left. And I think that's what's going to be important too. You see how that ability block landed on both of them. That's definitely going to be very, very important later on as we push the difficulty higher here with more packs activated. Controlling those characters are going to be very, very important. So thankfully their ability block and blinded does spawn the next wave here. And this is what I'm talking about here. We got to be mindful this Magneto does spawn here with Nemesis and as well as Archangel. They're going to have their Dev Seed synergy, so something we're going to be needing to watch out for later on, especially once this goes higher into the higher difficulties and packs being activated. So I am just targeting. This is the beauty of having a symbiote team that resides majorly in the city villains, is that both Carnage and Scream do have value actually. As you can see, if they're scaled pretty good, if you guys have them built up, there is a very good chance you can utilize these characters in the lower difficulties. As you see, they're scaling really good with the HP drop here. Even though we're only half our team is utilized as Sinister 6, we're doing really, really good here. And then this is, I think, going to be the problem point at the very end here, is knowing that there is Apocalypse waiting for us. And I can definitely see this one being a bottleneck to go higher, or at least a sacrifice. You might need to activate and trigger Apocalypse's ultimate, and then someone needs to take the punch. And then following that, then you can slot in another character. So you can do that, or you could also utilize Doc Ock to summon a character to take that initial damage. Maybe if you have a Shocker and Vulture already positioned on your team, you can summon Rhino, who can provide that taunt and shoulder that Apocalypse ultimate. So something just for later on when you guys are thinking about it, but obviously that's going to be potentially a pain point if we do proceed with that route. Also keep in mind too, these Hero Blasters these Global Blasters are great, great characters and all, and having the Unlimited X-Men team. But we also have, when we scroll to the left, Ultron's a really good addition. We got a Yellow Jacket for Infestation, so there's a lot of good options in Global Blaster. But like I said, I didn't see any issues with the first node. I don't foresee this one to be a problem at all either. So far, so good with the difficulty 6 here, right? Very beginning, we do probably want to take off the taunt off of the Absorbing Man, so that way we can get some damage going. There's a double Absorbing Man here, and then as well as a mix of a Hydra team. Now, thankfully too, I believe we were able to build up some charges with Gambit. So because we know that this is going to be the last node, we're requiring these Global Blasters. We can likely activate and trigger his ultimate. It's going to clean up the board, provide some really much needed evasion for protection on this team that doesn't have a lot of healing. And that's something to consider later on too, guys. I might have to switch one of these guys to healer ISO 8, so that way there is going to be more value to be had here, especially if I'm noticing that I'm taking a lot of damage and not healing up, just because we utilize Sunfire's ultimate, and after that he's pretty much a one-trick pony, right? You can't really do much after that fact. But thankfully, like I said, these guys are thankfully not that difficult to deal with, so as long as you're targeting and being strategic with who you focus. So just look at difficulty 6. Obviously they're going to be stronger in terms of their hits and attacks. And again, on a team that doesn't have sustain, I can definitely see Global Blasters having an issue later on. So you do want to be strategic there. I might have to consider maybe even switching Gambit to the healer, just because I believe he's one of the fastest in that mixture, but as well he can trigger obviously more of the heals if he's faster and getting more turns and so forth, right? So yeah, just definitely something good to consider. I don't foresee tech being an issue, just because there's so many stacked characters. We're gonna be starting off now with Kang's ultimate, and that's kind of how you want to set it up, especially as you're going higher. Oh yeah, look at this mixture, especially with us up against Bionic Avengers and Gamma. So I suspect that we're gonna see obviously the rest of their respective team members following this. So we're going to activate defense up here, but I am going to go ahead and, do these guys a service of clearing the board here. And, in doing so, we are able to, really get ready for the next wave here. Sometimes it could be bad news too, because if you do it at the wrong time, it may be spawning a team that you're not ready for. But in this case, we know that we have the damage output. I might have to do this as well in the higher difficulties, but we'll see how this looks in the difficulty level. You're not typically able to one-shot a character like Red Hulk, but because we're scaled so much higher, right? Oh, and then look at that, there is another Red Hulk following. So yeah, just something to be mindful of. Thankfully, our characters are tuned up very, very significantly, so we can obviously deal with the aftermath of this. But that one's going to be for sure interesting. I definitely see this one being a possible bottleneck as you push higher, as you activate the majority of the packs, right? For sure. Okay, making really good time here, guys, so I really appreciate you guys following along. We do only have one more node here, and again, we're going to round things off here with my Rebirth squad. Closing the deal here, and then again we're going to show you the unlock here with Green Goblin, and I'll be making a video here pretty shortly once I have some time this afternoon to actually put together the difficulty 7 run, and as well as a version with the pack, so that way you can see the differentials. But yeah, always a good time, guys, always a good time. These events are so exciting, and it's always great to just be up to the challenge and see what's new as well. So from the forefront here, our Captain Carter did get ability block, so I definitely see this one being a possible issue here. I think the most important one is Shang-Chi, but take a look at this, right? We have the moon dragons that can strip away our buffs, that heal. We have a squirrel girl that can heal. So and look at this, even in difficulty 6, these guys are putting up quite a challenge for us. So I definitely see this one being problematic for our team. We might even have to get away with just completing 9 nodes. We'll see later on. This is a very defensively heady team, and we got to be mindful of how we protect our Captain Carter. She's gonna be very, very important for this node, especially getting rid of the bleeds. As you can see, she hit like a truck, but you first got to get through all these abilities, and later on too, I do believe, yeah, it's the Heroes for Hire getting obviously their notable benefits off of war, so that is why obviously there's a challenge there. But we're just saved by the fact that we're statistically much better than these teams, and especially these Shang-Chi's that can hit like a truck once you have all these buffs being activated. Definitely see that being a pain point for sure. So yeah, this one's gonna be interesting. I might have to do a closer deep dive and as well, seeing how this is gonna look in more of a practical setting when we have, you know, a team that's actually equivalent to our power level. But I can foresee this being a big one to deal with, especially in difficulty 8 and higher. You might have to utilize both the new. Oh, actually, I think this one is the new Avengers required. So never mind. Yeah, you won't be using Rebirth on this unless you're only doing difficulty 7 or lower, which in this case is applicable to myself. So yeah, I guess that's the one saving grace there, guys, is that I'm excited by the fact that I don't have to use another full team for difficulties higher. I'm gonna focus on difficulty 7, get the job done. Super excited that this was like finally an event where I didn't have to invest in anything. I built up my Sinister 6 squad, but that's pretty much it, guys. There you go, 644,000 points, and yes, it is going to give us the immediate unlock, so let's go ahead and do that right here. So once you hit claim all, this should be able to give you all the shards now to fully unlock Green Goblin as a 3-star character, and yes sir, we got that ready to go here. So here you go. 3-star, there we go, and we are going to be bringing him into the next run, so super excited to show you guys that, obviously, and good luck to your guys' run. I'll keep you guys up to date. There's going to be a lot more videos coming out today. Thank you as always, and I'll catch you guys real soon. Take care.